Okay, my beautiful friends, here we go. It is that time once again for you and me to just lay it all out on the line. Yeah, Friday, November 18th, 2022. Sit back and relax. Got a bunch of stuff to talk to you, with you about. Let's start off with something that's happening right now, and it's kind of really in our face. Ever since the MMRI crossed 300, there's been a phenomenon occurring here. Massive debt buying. Now, who's buying it? I'm going to give you one guess as to who's buying all the debt. It's certainly not me. It's certainly not you. It's central banks. What are they doing? What are central banks right now attempting to pull off? Because it's a scam. All of it is. Okay. You and I have watched some very serious action occur here in the global debt market. A sell-off here, yields spiking. Now, all of a sudden, since the MMRI crossed 300, it has dropped substantially. As I am doing this video blog, the MMRI, which calculates debt and uses that as a measure of risk in the stock market, I mean, we're at like 250 right now. And over the past week or so, we have watched bond yields stabilize. We've also watched the dollar on a relative basis weaken, and this has certainly caused the stock market to move higher. Now, there was all this talk, and it still may happen, I have no idea, from BlackRock. You remember all that talk from BlackRock? Oh, all hell's going to break loose after the midterms. Well, we are certainly after the midterms here. And there is an eerie quiet here. I would think you would have to agree with me. Are they setting something up, some kind of who knows what? All I do know is crude oil being under pressure like it is now. It's been under pressure for a little bit. That scares me. It should scare you too, because whenever this happens, some kind of thing happens. Now, my take on what we're seeing here is it should be obvious. Central banks right now are really fulfilling their endgame goal here to be the lenders and buyers of last resort. Part of that is to maintain the illusion of stability in the debt market, to get more people into the stock market. Eventually, this whole thing is going to implode. You know that. But they're not done by a long shot here. And I don't mean necessarily inflating the stock market, which is what they want to do. No doubt about it, along with, politicians who can point at the stock market and say, oh, okay, everything is great. Look at the stock market. Meanwhile, look, I was just writing a few things down. The standard of living here in the United States and around the world is in sharp decline. And it has nowhere to go but much, much worse from where we are here. Real wages, that is, what people are earning based against inflation, which continues to rise. I mean, I don't know about you, but it makes me want to vomit, sincerely, when I turn on the mainstream propaganda ministry and they're talking about inflation is peaking. It's not peaking. It's still rising. I don't know where they're coming up with this. It's some kind of dog shit that they sell to people. That we've been hearing this peaking rumor for many months. It ain't peaking. And the Fed and ECB, other central banks, continue to raise rates. It's not helping here. It's not even meant to work. You all know that. Central banks are going to continue to inflate, but much faster. I want you to keep your eyes on a couple of things, and I will keep you ahead of the curve on this because I watch it all the time. The global money supply, I've been beating this to death, is going to balloon from here. I would not be surprised within a relatively short period of time to see the global money supply double. Yeah, you heard that right. Double. And that's why central banks are determined to continue to inflate. And they're going to sell you every manner of lie you can think about and dream about via the mainstream propaganda telling you that they want to control inflation. No, they don't want to control inflation. They could do it in a nanosecond. Just contract the money supply, stabilize the currency. If you look at what's going on here, Currencies are in free fall. You all know that. This has been going on for a very, very long time. Race to the bottom. Central banks, that's what they're doing. They're killing their respective currencies. They're sucking the people down with that. And what is the side effect? Standard of living falling off of a cliff. Real wages nosediving. Factory activity creating. I already mentioned manufacturing here. Housing prices falling off a cliff. The market is trying to normalize here, but when you have central banks that are going to continue to inflate the money supply and artificially fake some kind of stability in the debt market, all it's going to do, in case you don't know, is create greater distortions across the spectrum of asset classes. You know this. There is not a single asset today, not one, I don't care where you want to look, that has a real price discovery mechanism behind it. When you have central banks doing what they're doing now, managing the global market, keeping rates artificially suppressed, inflating the global money supply on a scale that we've never seen before, there's nothing here. There's not a single asset that has a fair value. You understand? You really should. It should be obvious to you. Anyway, that's what we're seeing here now. Yesterday, with the Federal Reserve kind of outlining with how they're going to play this moving forward, what are they saying? The Federal Reserve is telling us once in a while, the Federal Reserve broadcasts what they're going to do. And by saying that there is some kind of, they're concerned, what was the word? I think it was concerned about stability here. They're talking about liquidity. They have to add liquidity to an illiquid market to maintain stability. So what are they saying? They're saying you can expect the debt to vastly inflate. And that's what they're going to do, because that's the goal here. Look, I don't know another way to say all these things here. It's just obvious to me, and it should be to you, that things are not going very well. And they're going to be pushed in that direction. The central banks are in a mission right now to push the global population in one direction. That is, frankly, off of a cliff, creating as many people as they possibly can to be dependent on the system, on their system. You understand? And this is a phenomenon you and I knew from, I don't know how, years ago was going to occur. We outlined it right here. Prime members of the middle class trying to claw themselves higher up the economic chain, I guess the financial chain, trying to maintain the illusion of a middle class existence. And what are they doing? What are we seeing, people? Personal debt, household debt, consumer debt, balloon, savings rate in the negative. And going back to what I said, the standard of living falling off a cliff. And this is not just a phenomenon here in the United States. And I know most of you out here are feeling the pinch. Anyway, so with that said, you can rest assured that the Fed is signaling to the market that they're going to vastly inflate. And that is a bullish sign for the stock market. If, in fact, I'm going to cover it again, central banks can trick the market into believing that the debt market is stable by buying more debt, because they're buying it. It's not you, it's not me, it's nobody else. It's central banks. They're buying it all. By managing somehow to keep the relative strength of the dollar weaker, okay, the dollar's still going to remain the prettiest belle at the ball. Just rest assured of that. And unless a war breaks out, it's going to remain that way, okay? And even with that, I think there would be a massive knee-jerk into the dollar. That's just the way it's going to play out. It's always the same story here. So, look, it's not going to change a damn thing for you and I. You and I, it's so simple for us to understand what we need to do to stay on the right side of this here. People, look, we need each other. I've been telling you this for the longest time. Get together with like-minded people. That is, people that understand what's going on here. Most people have no clue you know all that. Eventually, this entire thing is going to come down, and it's going to come down so hard and so fast. And it's not by any accident. This is, again, action of central banks. So I'm going to urge you to, again, get yourself in the right spots mentally, physically, spiritually, connect with the right kind of people out here. Always prepare for a worst case scenario. Bet against the debt. Become your own central bank. Hold hard assets. Commodities are going to go to the moon when this whole thing eventually implodes. And all central banks are doing here is exacerbating the underlying problem, which is debt. I've said this a million times. It's like trying to save a drowning person by pouring more water on them. We have a debt crisis. We have a full-blown currency crisis. Central banks have no interest in fixing either one. They're going to continue to inflate. They're going to continue to pressure their currencies to issue in a new system. I couldn't be more clear on this. And you guys all are well aware. Anyway, just looking over at the stock market today, stock futures are higher across the board this morning. That means the market is slated to open higher, at least from now. Trading doesn't start for about 25 minutes. Relative strength of the dollar is slightly weaker. 10-year yield slightly higher. MMRI sitting at about 250 here. I can't stress this to you enough. The MMRI is the best tool you're ever going to find. Ever going to find with regard to gauging risk in the market. And risk in the market is falling only because central banks are in here buying all the debt. They're faking liquidity. And this is going to come home to roost at one point. Trust me on this. They can't fake it indefinitely. The side effect is surging inflation. And it's going to continue to get worse. And what's going to happen here is you're going to have the Federal Reserve. I really sincerely believe the Fed and the ECB are going to start to scale back on their aggressive stance with regard to raising rates. You're going to see a 50 basis point hike, maybe followed by another one, then a pause. But it doesn't mean they're going to continue to inflate by any other mechanism you can dream about. Okay, it's not going to stop. And inflation is not going to stop because they're going to continue to balloon the money supply. And that's the key. You know that's the key. But isn't it ironic, really? How many of you who do watch any of the mainstream propaganda ministry financial channels have heard a single word about this? Probably not one of you. Because me, I flip through the propaganda ministry every day, all day long. I want to hear what's coming out of their mouths. I haven't heard a single word from anybody about this. They can't allow you to know what's going on. If they were to tell the people, for example, if we had a real leader or somebody with some guts out here on a mainstream channel, which they can't do because they're protecting their own jobs, to tell you that, oh, are you watching the global money supply? It's ballooning. Then people might say, hold on a minute here. The money supply is ballooning. Central banks continue to inflate. Inflation continues to rise. The economy is getting crushed and the financial system itself is being brought to its knees. Then people might wake up. But they've been completely lulled into a sense of they don't know what's happening. Okay, and that's just the way the system works here. Moving forward, going back to the market, gold and silver catching a slight bid, cryptocurrencies catching a slight bid, crude oil getting hit, people. Like I said, that scares me. It should scare you too. Watch for a false flag event. Okay, look, just real quick. This is going to be the last video I will do for the week. I am not going to be doing a post-market wrap-up today. I will be on my way right after this video back to the drag races here over in Las Vegas. I'm going to be at the track the rest of the day today and tomorrow here, and we'll see how I do. You never know. I might win something anyway. I would like to think so. Anyway, people, I'm going to leave you off with what I do every single Friday. So bring it in because nobody's looking. All right? Love each other. Care about each other. Be charitable. I will see you Sunday for my markets that look ahead, which may be out a little late. I usually put those out early, but it may be a little late on Sunday. We'll see, but I will get one out. All right? So, I don't know. What do you think of all this stuff, people? What do you think about it? I want to hear from you. Please comment. Share the video, and I will see all of you Sunday. This guy here loves you a lot. I'm out here.